Coming up in today's video, guys, we've got some really chunky earwax plugs. My name is Rhys. I'm one of the audiologists here at Audiology Associates. Two patients in this compilation video for you today. The first one you can see is super duper blocked up. Lovely guy came through, and this was only really affecting one ear. Now, he had been using drops in both. It managed to clear the wax on the one side, but this was a little bit more stubborn. It didn't want to come away, and you can see why. It's quite a thick old plug, this one, perfectly formed to the shape of the ear canal, so no gaps around there whatsoever, so not really budging with the standard size ulnar tube. So we've got the Jobson horn in here. Now this is a curettage tool. If we mention curettage, it just means that it's a manual tool that we use here. Now I prefer to use the oval Jobson horn. I just find them a little bit more useful than the round Jobson horn a lot of the other guys prefer to use. So we're just going in now, just getting this off, loosening this surface of this plug, but you can see just how thick this is. We're not able to break through the surface. What I'm trying to do is work around the outside edge, trying to get a little bit of detachment from the canal wall. Now we've got a little piece of surface wax coming away there, but let's see if we can get beyond this next section. You can see I'm pulling down, just trying to create a gap for the Jobson horn there to get beyond. Just starting to come down. I've just pressed it into the center of this wax. I'm hoping it's going to have enough sort of rigidity, if you like, to the wax to be able to pull the whole thing forwards, but it's not quite managing that. And what we're finding now is I'm trying to push over the top, but what you can see is the wax is tilting backwards. So this plug has now become a little bit more mobile in the canal, which does make it a little bit more difficult when we're looking at curettage, because we're always trying to get over the top of the plug. Well, if you imagine this is the plug and we're trying to go over the top and it's a little bit more mobile, as we're pushing in, because we haven't got the gap, we've got to create the gap. It's rocking the wax plug backwards, which is not really too helpful for us, but it's not loose enough because of the shape to be able to pull it out with suction. So we're still trying to break little bits off the surface here. I'm trying to channel out the middle so I can fold the sides in now with suction to try and make it a little bit smaller to get it out. And you'll see now we're able to pull the sides in. We can see little gaps are being created down the side there, but as soon as I move it, the wax is almost springing back into place there. So we're going to aim for this bottom section, and what I'm going to do here is try and detach this right hand side from the canal wall. But what it effectively does, because we said that wax a little bit more mobile, it's kept it in the same position, but it's actually twisted and turned the wax around. So we're just trying to bring that smoother underside of the wax to the front end here, so we can get a much better suction grip. But you can see I'm going to fight this all the way here. It does not want to budge. This is really, really firmly wedged into place now. It doesn't want to come around. It's not spinning particularly well. It is moving, but I was hoping to get a little sort of forward momentum to it to bring it around the bend, but didn't quite manage that, unfortunately. So we just turned it now. I think we're going to have to go back to a little bit of curettage in a second. There we go. Out, this is starting to come. Guys, if you're a little bit confused about the numbers as well, you're thinking, I can see 958, I can see 960, but I don't know where 959 is. That was actually a short. We put a little short video out as well. So just so you know, if you're watching this on YouTube or on Facebook, you will find there is a short video there somewhere, so have a little look for it. So we managed to break another chunk off there with the Jobson horn. Now we can meet it that a little bit smaller. So let's try a little bit of suction again now. Can we bring it out with a bit of suction? You can see I'm moving this around, I'm spinning it around, trying to get a bit of a grip. Now, not really working, so we're going to go back in now with the Jobson horn. Let's get over, let's see if we can scooch down the side of this wax and bring this forwards. Oh, you can see it, it's unfolding, it's kind of unwrapping as we're pulling this forwards. Little bits are breaking off. There we go, now we've got a little bit of a gap that we can exploit to get this front section gone. There we go, that's broken that front section off. Now we can get to the next section beyond. We can just about get behind it. We're going to scoop this around. Watch this as it comes away now, guys. Look at that plug coming out. There we go, out that comes. So a real chunky old plug, that one. You can see why the patient was having so much difficulty with their hearing, but looking lovely beyond it. Eardrum looks fab, lovely light reflex there. So 2.5 centimeters, just under an inch, only just a smidge under an inch, that one. Don't forget, guys, if you do enjoy these videos, you can always like, heart, share, follow, and subscribe for me. If you have ear problems yourself, make sure you check out the link tree in the description. You can reserve an appointment with myself or the lovely Mr. Taylor Green. So second patient in this compilation. Now this is a bit of a mixture in these ear canals. The front section here has been heavily oiled. So we've ended up with a very, very wet looking wax right here at the entrance. But we've got a plug very similar to the first one just beyond it. So basically what you've got to think about here is when we ask our patients to put some oil in, we ask them to use it just for a few days to come along. This patient's been back and forth their GP for weeks and been prescribed oil after oil after oil. So what we've ended up with is this over softened wax here at the entrance to the canal. You can even see that surface epithelial layer of the ear canal wall skin starting to lift up as well when we're suctioning this. So there's a lot going on in this one, and we're hoping we're going to get to that slightly harder plug a bit further in. Never easy ones to suction, this very wet type of wax. It was a debate going on in my head as to whether we carry on with the suction or whether we do a little bit of irrigation in here, which would also help. I find when you've got this much softer, mushier type of wax, irrigation works really, really well. This is kind of on the border between the two. We're sort of halfway house in this consistency, so it's whether one would work better. But because we had this lift of skin, I thought, well, irrigation is great at breaking wax down, but it won't be so good at taking that skin out. So I've opted to put a little bit of olive oil in, take some of the stickiness out of that wax, and if we do get it moving, the oil will have coated those canal walls and it's going to slide out a lot more easily. So it's on its way. We can give this a little bit of a wiggle at the bottom here, and we can start to see it detaching from the canal wall. So it was just looking like a very mushy layer everywhere in this canal. Now we're starting to see the ear canal wall skin there. So we know what we're working towards. I always find it's great if you can clear the sides away, because then you can see all the lumps and bumps and the angles of the ear canal, so you don't accidentally touch against the canal wall, which is quite an easy thing to do if you've got very mushy wet wax. So we can see that we've hit this slightly more solid plug. You can see I'm using this method to detach it from the canal wall, dropping it down, pulling it forwards, dropping it, pulling it. So it's on its way down. Got to maintaining the suction grip. What I'm doing there is holding the suction tube onto the wax. So we're letting the suction pressure build inside the tube. It's going to get a much tighter grip on that wax. And I'm hoping that by doing that, we can start to draw this main plug away from the eardrum, because this is pretty deep here. It's a fair old way down the canal wall. So let's give this canal wall, ear canal. Sorry, dude. So we're just getting this coming away. There we go. Bit more of a wiggle, bit more of a wiggle again. There you go. You can see it really starting to come down. The front section is still a little bit on the soft side. So as I'm bringing it down, it's just detaching that front section. But the whole thing start to pull forwards, which means it is becoming a little bit more mobile. It's just got very tacky edges. So it wants to grip that canal on the way down. It doesn't want to let it go. So we are getting there, guys. It's on its way. There we go. Look at that starting to move. You can see I'm trying to lift it almost out of the anterior recess. So I'm lifting a bit from the bottom section and rolling the top, lifting a bit from the bottom, rolling the top, constantly moving this down the canal. And then we should see a little bit of forward momentum. There we go. Now you can really start to see this working down. Now it's going to get stuck because it's too big to fit out the entrance to the canal, this one. So we're going to get it so far, and then it's not going to go any further. There we go. Now we're starting to see it really binding and adhering to the canal walls. The olive oil is going to make a big difference here because we've coated that now with the oil. And there we go. That little kind of movement, that dropping of the top section of the wax to bring this back. Bit more of a bigger wiggle there. There we go. And out that plug comes. Chunky old plug, that one. You can really see them very, very dark in color. It's been in there a little while. Eardrum looks absolutely perfect. Textbook eardrum, really shiny, really pearlescent there as well. So second ear canal here. And there we are. Let's bring this down. Now we've got the same issue here, really mushy wax, but we've got a good idea because we know what the first ear canal was like, so we're expecting something very similar in the second canal. As long as they've been oiled the same way, we're going to expect something very similar, and we can see the consistency change. Now when you've got this very wet mushy wax, it almost looks like a kind of a bubbly surface almost, and then when you start getting into the thicker, harder wax bond, you can see it gets this kind of smoother appearance, especially as you pass the suction tube over the top. A little bit of dry skin wrapping around that. So you can see I'm detaching from the canal wall now, trying to look for which way does this canal wall go? Where are all the lumps, bumps and twists and turns in this canal? And we're going to lift this bottom section up. There we go. Starting to detach that little bit of dry skin. There we go. Now we can see this has become a little bit stickier now. This is that older, stickier, tacky, like a chewing gum kind of consistency. So olive oil is going to go back in again now to coat the canal wall to stop it from sticking, but also to help it just get that better grip with the suction tube. So we're going to hold on to this bottom section. Very similar technique here to the first ear canal. We're going to lift from the anterior recess, drop down, lift again from the anterior, and just keep doing that motion. So rather than sort of wiggling from side to side, which you see us do a lot, we're most going up and down movements, almost walking this down the canal. So let's get that top section, let's wiggle this down. There we are. I'm looking for that little bit more movement, a little bit of forward momentum is what we're keeping an eye out for here. We can see that section to the left has been really adhered. Okay, well that's going to hold it in. So if we can detach that section, are we going to get that forward momentum? There it is. There's that movement we were looking for. So down this is starting to come. Patient couldn't believe actually the difference in their hearing. And this is what happens with a lot of patients. We normalize this kind of hearing that we have because this is such a slow build for a lot of patients. It's not until it completely blocks that they really start to notice the issue. But when you remove it, they realize how bad it's been for a long time. Nice big plug on that side as well. Eardrum looking lovely, really shiny, really pearlescent. And this is what we remove. So 2 centimeters, just over 3/4 of an inch. Thank you so much for watching my video again today, guys. If you do enjoy it, don't forget, like, heart, share, follow, subscribe for me. Ear problems? Check out the link tree in the description. Reserve yourself an appointment with myself or the lovely Mr. Taylor Green. And fingers crossed, we'll see you again real soon for the next video. Bye, everyone.